Welcome to Chaos, Courage and Coffee, the podcast for anyone who's felt like on the outside I'm holding it together, but inside I'm struggling.
And we do it with honesty, heart, and just enough coffee to get through the day. So welcome to our podcast. Good morning, Brett.
Good morning, Vanessa.
Shall we start by introducing ourselves, do you think?
I think we should. And because I'm a gentleman, I'll let the ladies go first.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, well, hello, everybody. I'm Vanessa. I've actually been coaching for quite some time. I started off as a parent coach. So what that means is I help coach parents like you, particularly if you're struggling with your children's behavior. I also coach people with not focusing on the children, focusing on your relationships, or just focusing solely on yourself. Started off, doing it as the parenting coach, and then started doing the relationship coaching. And I'm a mum of 4 kids, so I've kind of lived through a lot of the parenting. In fact, I feel like I've lived through so many of the parenting issues that my parents come to me with. I've had quite a tough time of it, to be honest. It wasn't easy. And I think that's what helps me bring it all to you and really, really help you, because you can see I've lived through it. I don't give you textbook strategies. I actually give you real ones that work. And what we're doing in this podcast is we wanted to come to you and share with you and talk real talk. So about how things happen in real life for you. So as I say, I am a parent coach. I specialize in behavior. I also do life coaching. And together with Brett, we've come and we're just going to chat and pick a topic each episode and bring that to you. So that's a little bit about me, and the rest you will learn as we go along.
Absolutely. Thanks, Vanessa. And I'm Brett. I'm an Australian veteran, Army veteran. I spent 17 years in the Army before stepping out of defence and moving into civilian life. And like many veterans, I found it was a really huge adjustment. And when I left defence, I started I became a trainer assessor. And I've basically spent the last 10 years, 12 years working as a trainer assessor in the vocational education training space. And I've found that to be quite complementary with life coaching. It's important to understand that we are not just making this up as we go along. We are using tried and true, proven techniques, tools, and methodologies. Veterans, when they leave, and this is really where my focus is, veteran coaching, or coaching veterans, I should say. And they struggle. When we leave defence, we lose a lot of structure, we lose purpose, a lot of connection in a lot of circumstances. And so helping veterans find those things again is where I find myself now. That's how I'm giving back. And that's where I'm putting my focus. And as Vanessa said, it's bringing those knowledge and skills. And you might think there's not a lot of similarities between veterans struggling post-service and mums and families, but the basic principles and skills, the basic problems that we're going to talk through in this podcast, there are a lot of similarities. But you'll find as we go through, we'll talk about mums, we'll talk about veterans, and we'll talk about people more generally, and how these problems and issues, they're not unique to one group of people, but really we're all in the same boat. We're all just trying to, whether you're a veteran or a mum, we're all just trying to get the best out of our lives. And that's what we're really here to try and address, is to help you guys in plain talk, not life coaching talk, really help you guys get the best out of your lives and understand that you're not alone. We're here with you.
Okay, well, thank you, Brett. And today we are going to kick off with our first topic. And the topic we've chosen today is about negative thoughts. And I think what we'll do is we'll just talk a little bit first about what it is about us humans that we do tend to focus on negative thoughts, because this is so important. I find a lot of people when they come to me, and for example, I'll say to them, what do you want in life? Because they come with a problem. I say, what do you want? And it's quite interesting that they automatically, and you'll all probably do this, revert back to what they don't want. So what I'm saying with that is we kind of have a negativity bias. So we are always looking at the negative. There's a real good reason for this. But yeah, so today's topic, we're going to talk about negative thoughts.
All right. It's a really great topic. As you say, there is a really good reason why we focus on the negative, and it's because we're hardwired to protect ourselves. We're hardwired to look for danger. If we think back to our caveman days, and we're going out and all these animals want to kill us and eat us, those sorts of things, we needed to develop that survival instinct to look for the dangers so that we can protect ourselves and, survive, essentially. So it's a basic biological pattern. However, what that does is it keeps us trapped in the now, and it keeps us trapped in looking for negatives. And that can have knock-on effects to our mental health, lead to depression, anxiety, those sorts of things. So it's about, I think today we're talking about moving past that, or recognizing those patterns and moving beyond the negative thoughts to looking at what we do want. It's really hard to build a life that we are happy with if we don't put a plan in place. And
Yeah.
so,
And I think if we can start to understand how the brain works, we can actually use it to our advantage. So here's what's interesting. If we're saying that we focus on the negative for very good survival reasons, what that means is you see the negative.
Mm.
So our brain's a little bit limited in how many things we can actually focus on at once. Now, I know my mums are so overwhelmed. Do you know how many things are in a mum's head at once? Actually, we can only focus on about 7 things. She needs to be able to focus on about 25 or 30 things. This is why we're overwhelmed. So, how the brain works is it picks what it's going to focus on. So, if we're wired to focus negatively, then those focuses are going to be negative. And so how the brain works is you choose, whether you're consciously choosing it or not, what you're going to focus on. Now, we all probably know, and if you don't, that this can be new to you, that if you're perhaps going to get a new car and you're like thinking, I wonder what car I should get. And you're having a look around. Actually, to be honest, I'm looking at getting a new car at the minute. And so what happens is you pick a few cars and then suddenly you start seeing those cars everywhere. You don't see the other brands that you're not getting. You see the ones that you've highlighted. Now, this is because you've inadvertently told your brain, this is what we're going to focus on. This is what we want to pay attention to. So you choose what car, and now you'll see that car everywhere. So the reason I'm explaining this is because this is how it works with the negative thoughts. We're looking for danger. What are we going to see everywhere? Danger. So now we're going about our daily life. We've told our brain, be alert for danger. So our radar for danger is on, and we will see it because that's what we've told the brain to look for. So it's understanding how the brain works because, like Brett said, we want to help you get past this and use it to your advantage rather than being caught in the trap of, always seeing what's wrong with life or the dangers in life. So we need to work with our brain to flip it around.
absolutely. It's a bit like the tabs on the computer. If you look at your, let's say, um, computer browser, your internet explorer, whatever, and if you've got a whole heap of tabs open, all with the same thing, then that's what you're going to find. And social media. Social media is a great example. If you start looking at a particular thing on social media, it's going to keep giving you the same prompt, the same thing, and go down that rabbit hole, and that's all you see. But when you start looking at something different, then the algorithm has different things to focus on. Start watching the cat videos, the kitten videos, the puppies rolling around on the floor videos, those sorts of things, instead of the ones that you don't like. Unfortunately, we do tend to pay more attention to the things that we don't like, and that becomes the focus of our lives. But if we can start changing that script, refreshing the browser, refreshing the algorithm in our social media, start paying more attention to the things that we do like. And when we notice we're paying attention to the things we don't like, refresh, look for something different, look for the thing that we enjoy, then we're starting to change those patterns.
Do you ever do that thing where I'm very conscious of this now because of social media and the algorithm, and you see an ad for something, and I'm actually like, I hesitate. I'm like, oh my gosh, do I click on that? Because I know, yeah, I'm a little bit interested. It might be like, I don't know, some hack about cleaning something. And I'm like, oh, I want to know. But if I click on that, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get way more of it. And I actually now hesitate because I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm not that curious. I do not want to be bombarded with adverts for whatever. Um, and the other thing that made me laugh when you were talking was the tabs on the computer. Because I've just said to everybody, you can only focus, and that this is, research fact, you can only focus in your conscious mind on about 7 things at once. Like when you remember phone numbers, like 7 is kind of your max. After that, it starts to we're struggling. Anyway, so you're talking about tabs on the computer, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, "Now look how many tabs I've got open." I'm one of those people. And I'm kidding myself when I'm pretending I'm focusing on them all. And in fact, my phone is very clever and it says to me, and here's your bundle of inactive tabs that you have not opened for 7 days. And I'm there thinking, yeah, I'm focusing on all these things. I'm not because I can't. So those ones get dropped. And you've got those ones that you're kind of recycling between all the time. Those are your focus. So when we're talking about how the brain works, we need to be conscious of which are those 7 tabs in our brain that we're keeping open all the time.
Yeah, which ones do we constantly go back to? Yes, you're right. And I'm the same. I don't know how many tabs open on my web browser at the moment. And I keep thinking, yeah, I'll go back to that. I'll go back. And I don't get there. And it's like all of us. We want to go back and do the good things. We want to do the right things, but we've got so many other things that are vying for our attention. And so it is really important to take a moment and recognize where we are putting our attention and where do we want to put our attention. And if we're putting all of our attention on the negative things, then that's probably not helping us terribly greatly. And so that audit, I suppose, do an audit of your internal thinking and where we're putting our attention. And do I want to be there or do I want to be over here? And if you want to make that change, then awareness is the first step and start making those changes. So,
Yeah, and maybe just talking a little bit now about the effect it's having on us that we're focusing on the negatives. It's actually quite interesting. This is a slight aside, but when we talk about how we feel, did you know that in the language, if you've ever looked at this thing called the feelings wheel, and they suggest words for feelings you might have, this is really, really good when people are not so aware of how they're feeling, and it's like a prompt. But what's interesting about it is it's stacked something like they put it in categories. They have 5 negative categories to 2 positive categories. So this is almost like highlighting why we have all these words for our, you know, let's say negative feelings and emotions. And I don't really like saying negative, but the ones that we don't like so much, the ones that bring us down. So 5 negative ones to 2 positive ones. That's the ratio. So again, I'm just showing you that we are negatively wired. So then what I wanted to bring up was, what's the effect on us? If you've got your 7 tabs open, and that means 5 negative, 2 positive, for argument's sake, in your brain. So how are you going to go about feeling every day? You're definitely not going to be feeling so positive and upbeat because the balance is off. So this is really why we're talking about these negative thoughts. It's not that you want to banish them altogether, but it's looking at the balance, because the effect on us is it brings our mood down because they're just not so fun, these negative ones.
No, you're right. And when we focus on the negatives, it brings our mood down, as you say. It When we focus too much on the negatives, it takes the joy from other areas of our lives. We become so focused and we get more and more, and it's like a rabbit hole or a black hole maybe, where it just everything gets sucked into this thing and it becomes all consuming. And so, it can affect our work, our sleep, our relationships. And so we need to start taking stock. And that's what I say, an audit, you know, do we want to be like this or do we want to be this other way, and start moving away from it? So why do we keep running or returning to these negative thought patterns? It's because our brains think that they're doing the right thing. They're keeping us safe. They're making us aware of these dangers. And, you know, and I get it. I do. But is it really helping us? To a certain point, yes, but beyond that, it's probably not in most circumstances for most people. And so it keeps reminding us of that, oh, just in case you forgot about this, or just in case something might go wrong. But we need to start moving past that. And that's where we start to learn better. As I said, when you realize or find that you're focusing on those negative tabs, maybe open up the tabs with the goats being scared and freezing and falling over, or, you know, the fun stuff. Find the stuff that you enjoy and make sure you've got some of those good things, those good tabs open in your web browser.
Yeah, so that's kind of like shifting the balance. I think what we're doing today is helping you to create some awareness. So this doesn't have to be any major changes. We're just saying start to be aware and looking at your balance. And if you're finding yourself very much caught up in not fun things, actually, and this is kind of where you can start to maybe make a note here of action you can do, things you can do to start to shift it. So if you find yourself caught up in a lot of negatives, actively think, right, what positive can I put in the day? Like Brett said, what fun thing? If you want to relate it to tabs, yeah, what fun tabs can you open? Because you're going to need that balance. Otherwise, life does become doom and gloom if you're just surrounded by your doom and gloom. So I think first action point, which we've already created today, is awareness. And then the second thing is, well, what can you actually do about it? So you've created the awareness. Now you want to start thinking about shifting the balance. Would you say that's fair, Brett, as a kind of first step?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've mentioned it on several occasions that awareness is the first step. It's doing that audit, taking stock, realizing where your thoughts are going. And then we've already mentioned, and I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, going back to the cat videos or the puppy videos or the hobby that you really enjoy. Um, for me, I get a lot of motorbike riding videos because I like riding my motorbike. And so, I enjoy some of those ones. Not so much the crashes, but the people having fun, that sort of thing, going around the twisty, windy mountains. Any motorbike rider will know what I'm talking about. Um, you know, that's gives me something to look forward to on the weekend when I get my motorbike out of the garage. So it's that taking action. I don't want to focus on this anymore. I want to make that change. And it's about making that change, taking that second step towards changing where our focus is.
Well, I want to now relate it to real life, and I'm thinking about what I would do in real life. So we've kind of created the analogy of tabs on your computer and what's on them. Now, in real life, it's like, what are you spending your time doing? And what fun things are you doing? Do you have coffee with a friend? And I know a lot of it you might feel is time limited. So we'll start with the bigger things, like social events or spending time with a friend, but it could be going for a walk. It could be doing a fun activity. For me, I like experiences and I like to do actual activities. If and those are the chunks of time. But if you're really time poor, it's more about what you're maybe what you're thinking about and thinking about positive things. So thinking about what you're going to do when you next have a day off, or what you, like Brett said, what you're going to do at the weekend. So you're at least injecting the positive thoughts in there. Like, I know some people who, when they've got some spare time, they'll just think about maybe the news and the not good things that are going on in the world. And, it's all horrible out there. And yet, if you look on your own doorstep, you could actually absorb yourself in even just seeing children playing at the park or the dog running around, just injecting those positivity, positive thoughts or small positive actions. Yeah, I think relating it to the real world and what actual steps, what it means, in actual steps that you can take.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. As I was listening to you, I was thinking that one of the things that people can do that doesn't take a lot of effort is, and we don't always do it, a lot of us don't practice this regularly, but gratitude. What are we grateful for? Because when we start to feel good about the things that are happening in our lives, that the good aspects, we've got a roof over our head, we've got food to eat, those sorts of things, then those simple things, those steps of gratitude can make a difference as well. And it doesn't take a lot of time and effort. We can identify one thing that we're grateful for in 5 seconds. And that can start making that change, or a random act of kindness. I was on a flight yesterday, and as we were getting off the plane, there was an older couple in front of us, and he couldn't walk very well. And so he was in a wheelchair, and she was pushing him up the ramp from the plane to the airport terminal. And as I said, they were older, and she was really struggling, and he's pulling on the rail on the side of the ramp to help try to get her up. And it was just so easy. And I'm not, trying to promote, I've done a good thing, but I offered, would you like a hand just to push up? Because I could see that she was struggling, and it doesn't take much. I'm going in the same direction, and it was easy to put a hand on the back of the wheelchair and help push him up the ramp. And it just made her life that little bit easier. There's nothing of it. She said, thank you. I said, not a problem at all. And it's just those little acts of kindness that we can do for others can again make us feel good. It's when we do those things that give us that internal joy, that internal good feeling, that's where we can start the real
So
actions.
that's an interesting one because, even smiling at someone, and I think not only does that create a whole, and that is a whole nother podcast, but positive feeling in us, but it's also a little bit of connection with other people. And as humans, we actually do need connection. And if you're an introvert and you don't really like connection, just those small things. But the other thing I was thinking when you were talking about gratitude is sometimes it can be hard to get started because you're stuck in a train of negative thoughts. So what you could do when you're in, a better, more upbeat mood, how about create a list or completely cheat and Google a list? Because then when you remember this podcast and you're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be thinking positive things, but you're really stuck in, because you've got backache or, your children are being just having one of those nightmare days. And it's really hard to turn that around. Keep a little list somewhere that you can refer to. That'll just save you brain power, and go and look at the list. And even just looking at the list of positive things will start helping that shift in your brain. It will feed it, not negative things. It's just too easy when we feel negative. Maybe we go and we start scrolling social media, or we go and complain to a friend. All we're doing is enhancing all the negativity. So it's about shifting it around and injecting some positivity.
Yeah, absolutely. And listening to you, I think I could take it even one step further again and just look somebody in the eye today and say thank you. Just two really simple words, heartfelt words when they've done something. Think about somebody who provides a service. If you go into a store, cafe, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just look the server or the person you're speaking to in the eye and just genuinely thank them. Because a lot of those people, their jobs are so thankless that just having someone who pays attention and recognize them for the efforts that they are making, that can change that person's entire day. And it takes 2 seconds to say thank you. All right. So they don't have to be great big gestures. You don't have to sit down and take a half-hour walk or meditate for half an hour or those sorts of things, although those things are great if you've got the time, and that can be the thing that you can work up to. And it's important to recognize that change takes time. It's about the little things that we do now compound over time. And the more we make these little things part of our habits and our rituals, um, the easier it becomes to focus on the good things, and the easier it is to build these things into our lives.
Yeah, it's interesting you say about that, making it a habit. I've been practicing this for years, and so it's now much more a habit. But don't expect like immediately to be able to do this, okay? Because you remember you're hardwired against this. You're hardwired to look at negative, not positive. So don't beat yourself up when you go, "Oh my God, I did it again." That's actually progress because you're noticing that you're stuck in the negative. Um, so yeah, a few tips is this isn't going to be something that you immediately change and your whole world changes. Just do it little bit by little bit and just be aware. And if you could congratulate yourself when you even remember, oh yeah, Brett and Vanessa talking about positive, right? Must remember positive. And you'll do that. And then the next thing you know, your brain will be back on negative. So don't like get too frustrated with yourself about it. Just notice little steps of progress.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's like mountains. We go up and down, and it's constantly learning. It's as long as the general direction is one of improvement, then I think we're on the right track. And be kind to ourselves. We make mistakes. We slip up. Remember that these patterns, for some of us, are so ingrained. We've been doing this for so long that it's going to take time to change, and we need to forgive ourselves when we slip up and we revert back. But that awareness will come easier, and so it's easier then to make that change again and keep progressing and start thinking better thoughts.
Actually, what I'd like people to feel, that when they slip up and they don't beat yourself up about it, like I said, and don't start giving yourself all that negative talk and start saying, oh, I'm so rubbish, I failed, I'm no good at this, blah, 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 blah. Because you're human, like I know we're all different, but in so many respects, we're all the same. We're all hardwired the same, and you're trying to change that. So please be kind to yourself and don't give yourself a hard time. Don't go on about how much you failed. In fact, Brett, I think that would be a real good topic for another day to talk about failure, because I think that's as humans, again, we're all similar and we have this attitude about failure and we do give ourselves a lot of negative talk. So maybe we should wrap up now and we'll summarize some points that we would like people to take away that they can action from this. Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think awareness is the first step, just being aware of where your thoughts are going. And once you have that awareness, take action to make the change that you want. Not, instead of staying there, okay, I'm thinking this way, make that change. All right. Try to do something, change the tabs, change your focus, be nice to someone. As we've mentioned, it's about those little steps. And it's almost inevitable that you will slip up and you'll revert back. That's okay. Again, it's about that awareness, and it's about being kind to yourself and notice that, okay, I've done this. Let me make that change again and progress forward. It will get easier with time, and you'll find that your positive thoughts will increase over time, and the amount of time you spend in negative thoughts will decrease over time. So be kind to yourself, accept those setbacks, because then We're not perfect. As Vanessa said, we make mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes because we're human. That's who we are. That's what we are. It's the way, I think to some degree, it's the way we were designed to learn from our mistakes. And the saying says we learn more from our mistakes than we do our successes. So learn from those and keep moving forwards. It's okay.
Yeah. So what I'd like everybody to do is, I mean, by all means, re-listen to this. You'll get more out of it the second time. But for now, take away in your head 2 things. Think about 2 things that you have got from today's session. Don't overdo it. Remember, we can only do so many tabs at once. 2 things that you've got from today's session and an action step, something you can actually do to make a change just to start on your new journey.
Awareness, focus, action.
Thank you, Brett. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Vanessa. Great talking to you.
Thanks for being with us today on Chaos, Courage and Coffee. Remember, you're not alone and you don't have to figure it all out at once. What part of today's conversation stood out for you?
This podcast is about showing up in the mess, not waiting until it's all sorted out. If today helped, share it with someone else who might need it too.
And if you're navigating your own version of chaos, we'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment, message us, or join the conversation.
We'll be back soon with more honest talk, less pressure, and just enough courage to get through whatever's next.
See you next time on Chaos, Courage and Coffee.